Hello and welcome to another episode of Effing the Ineffable. I'm Lonnie Melbus. Today I have been inspired to talk about attachment. Judging from the reactions I've had in conversations and in personal discussions, if you want to, teachings or whatnot, is that people generally don't like to discuss the role of desire as being something undesirable. Many people are attached to their desires. They've invested a lot of energy and a lot of themselves into accomplishing their desires, and they believe that that's their will. That those desires are something indicating what they need for happiness. And in a sense, this can be true, because eventually all desires will lead to suffering, and eventually the cessation of desire, except for the one desire that is exempt from causing suffering, and that is the desire for either God or self-realization, truth, that thing. So the desire for the one thing is the one that eliminates all others. Now, in these conversations I've had, I've seen many complaints, and throughout these complaints, in the back of my mind, I can trace it. I see where the complaints are all caused by the desires. But you can't say that. You can't tell someone who's suffering that they are causing their suffering by wanting not to suffer. That's not very helpful. So there's an element of having to be within the ego and empathize at that level and see what the person is really requesting. I mean, it's always good to remind that maybe the expectations are a part of the cause of the suffering. Now, if you think about it, I think a lot of it, the disbelief and clinging to desire itself, which is what I'm talking about, is based in the fact that when the Buddha taught that desire is suffering and life is suffering, therefore, and it's throughout all the traditions. But I think a large amount of people don't believe this. They haven't seen the truth of this. So I'd hope that you'd think about desire in the sense of reflection over a lifespan of, ask yourself the question, when has desire brought me permanent happiness, permanent bliss, I should say? And no matter how long you think about that, you could think about it for the next 70 years, and you will never find a case where a worldly desire, I should say, a desire for something of the world has ever brought happiness. And if you think about when there's something you covet, something you really want, something that solves a problem, and you're saving up money for it, and you're researching all of the various variations that you can of which you can acquire this thing, and then that's exciting. That's building up attention. The want is increasing. The desire is increasing, and you build it up. It's just like the sexual desire. I mean, all desires are the same in this way, that you're building up to a climax, and then there's a release. You get what you had been desiring the whole time, and that release is a bliss. It's a rajasic bliss, maybe a tamasic bliss a little bit, but it is a bliss, and bliss is, after all, what we're all after. In our soul, in our very essence, our purpose of life is to attain that bliss, which is the infinite, the self-knowledge. So it reflects that, and it kind of, this craving that we've always felt inside is satisfied for a moment. But in any of those cases, eventually, whether it's minutes or days or even years, that satisfaction, that happiness fades into almost nothingness, even dissatisfaction at times. And that high and low cause things like depression. I thought I would be happy, and I was happy for a minute, but I'm not happy now. Why am I not still happy? Wasn't that item the thing I needed for happiness? Wasn't that person the one I needed for happiness? And invariably the answer will always be no. That external thing is not what you need for happiness. It never will be. And that is why desire always causes suffering, always generates samsara, and will eventually always make our lives just a little bit harder. It's going the wrong direction with karma. The way to fix this, or the way to, I guess, not fix it, because everything is as it should be. The process is as it should be. There's no wrong way to do it. It's just everyone has a process. Everyone has karma. So yeah, not fix it. That's not a good word. The way to progress or transcend it is to, through ritualization, turn the desire to the ideal so that it, in a way, cleanses all of the lower desires out. And we do that by remembrance. Some people do it through bhakti, devotion, worship. Some people can do it through love. If your love is pure and not a I want something from this person, but I want to give to this person and bestow love upon them, as opposed to trying to take them or desire them or addictive behaviors and such. So there's a fine line with the desires. So it's not, love's not an easy one. Or through self-knowledge, or the path of liberation, moksha. That would be another method. But anyway, applying all desire somehow to that highest. Karma yoga is a great way to do that, where every action, you immediately release any thought for the result by offering the action to the higher purpose. So you do something, and in the middle of it, when you start thinking, oh man, this is really going to get me, right, you stop right there and you say, I offer this action to whoever, whatever your highest ideal is. And then you say, I offer you the results are yours. And then you cut off that sense of desiring to get something from it. And that is freedom. That leads to the ultimate joy, the ultimate bliss of absolute self-knowledge, absolute union with God, whatever you call it, whatever your names and forms are for that goal of all of existence, all of life. That's how you get there, through your desires. So if you think about another sense, desire itself creates a sense of separateness. In I am this and I am incomplete without that. Right there, you've gone the opposite direction of true happiness, of bliss, as you've created a whole that is now dependent upon something external, which probably will never work out the way you expected, and even if it did, would not give fulfillment. External world cannot provide that. It can provide a sense of sensory satisfaction. It can provide the mind with tremendous speed or excitement. It can do those things, but those end. And they usually end quickly. And there has to be a swinging of the pendulum in the opposite direction. So when you've got that void and that desire, you've got, when it's met, there's that. But there's also when it's not met, when your desire is unattainable. The path you wanted, the tree you went to pick fruit from does not have any fruit. You set up yourself, you got your basket, you went, tried to pick your fruit. There's no fruit. That's not happiness. That doesn't create happiness. If you're enlightened, you'll be happy. Oh, no fruit. This is my grace. I will be here and I will experience the non-fruit. That's the enlightened perspective. But if you're not enlightened, your perspective is wow, I needed that fruit. I didn't get that fruit, and it's unhappiness. So there's another way. And any way you trace desires, you take any desire that's happened in your life, it always ends in unhappiness. Maybe not depression or anger or anything extreme, but definitely a not satisfied, didn't fulfill, did not attain the goal, other than apparently and momentarily, but definitely not permanently or truthfully. So attachments and desires, it's essentially the one enemy. It's once that enemy is overcome, not even overcome, but turned to the right purpose, through the inflaming, through prayer, whatever you need to do to make all of the desires ascend to the one goal, the one end, which is no end at all. That's infinite. What was the quote on that? Something about only the infinite can provide real joy. Only abiding in the infinite or floating in the, I don't remember. But either way, it's the truth of our karma as living beings, as sentient beings, as individual jivas walking around, working this karma out. And so I was just inspired to give a talk about desire and attachment. I hope it helps. I hope someone hears it. But those are just attachments. So I'm not going to be concerned with it. I'll put this thing away and hope that you can research some of this. You can research various methods through the things that I do. Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, is a method I found extremely effective, but that's me. That's my attachment to my method, and there are plenty out there for you. But if you want to check that out, that's a good path. It's effective. It's again, I've found it very satisfactory in that regard. And I do it through Swami Sarvapriyananda, his courses and lectures at Vedanta, New York. So yeah, just citing the source there, and also done it through Aleister Crowley's System of AA, is headed at onestarinsight.org. And pretty much anything else I come across, Ram Dass, Joel S. Goldsmith, Alan Watts. There's the truth is the truth is that knowledge comes from within us, and these methods or outside sources are just something that our body, mind, ego, jiva uses to understand the knowledge that is already there through external means. That's really hard to explain. I don't think I just did a good job of it. But so anything that you find that you feel that draw, you feel that bliss toward attaining a higher truth will get you there. But you can't get attached to that either, or that just becomes another trap. So yeah, that's pretty much all. My mind is now going blank. The meditative inspiration is wearing off, so I guess this is the end of this rant. And I hope you all have a wonderful experience, free experience, blissful experience, non-attached, and enlightened state. And I'll talk to you next time.